Hi. Each year for the last 20 years, we have had a Tomato Fest in Central Missouri Research, Extension, and Education Center. We've had it at Bradford Farm, and in the last few years, we've had it at Jefferson Farm and Garden. And this past year in 2024, we had that on September 5th from 4 to 7, and we will have it this year in 2025 on September 4th at Jefferson Farm and Garden from 4 to 7 p.m. Now, what we do at this, we have 180 different varieties of tomatoes that we grow. We grow them with different staking methods. We grow them and pick them for folks to come in and they can taste them and they can give them a rating, 1 being the very best and 5 being not so good. We also have 70 varieties of peppers and also some tomatillos, including ground cherries. Now, we also have many different staking methods, 5 in fact, that folks can come and look and evaluate for themselves. This could be the regular stake and weave or caging, or also even some different ones like trellising or using a cattle panel to tie the tomatoes to. And we also have different varieties, a wide range of varieties. We just don't want regular red tomatoes or even just the garden types. We want to really expand where we have the dark purple ones, we have the green ones, the yellow ones, the orange ones. We want heirlooms, and we also have the hybrids. Now, heirlooms are traditionally, when we say they're 50 years more or older, and the heirlooms are ones that we can save the seed back. Where our hybrids are actually a known cross between 2 or more tomatoes, and those seeds are harvested, the plants are grown, but the next year you have to make the cross again. So you can't really save the seeds back and get the same thing. And we, of course, we have our garden types that people are familiar with, like Jetstar or Better Boy. But some of our hybrids will come in series, because what they're trying to do is companies are trying to select tomatoes that have a lot of the good characteristics of heirlooms, like they taste good. You know, why do people grow heirlooms? They taste good. But there's issues with them in that often their yields aren't as high, or they're not very uniform in shape, and there's a lot of waste, or they don't have that longevity after they're ripe. So they're trying to make tomatoes that have the taste of an heirloom, but the convenience and the other characteristics of our hybrids. So let's look at how do they do on the ratings. You know, as I mentioned, we have the folks rate them from 1 to 5, or give them a rating of 1 to 5, with 1 being very, very good, the best you've ever had, where 5 being, I don't like this at all. And when we look at our slicers, and this is a combination of our heirlooms and our hybrids, the winner was Big Beef Plus. And it had a rating of 1.25. That means people love Big Beef Plus. Now, I had the word, you might have heard Big Beef before, so what does Big Beef Plus mean? Well, the plus means that it has added resistance or tolerance to many of the diseases that are in tomatoes. And you'll see that those numbers, VF, EN, or whatever after their name, that's what those are, resistant lines of those diseases. And just so happens then, if you look at Big Beef without the resistance, it was a 2.3 compared to the 1.25 with the disease resistance. And you know, that does make sense, because if you have foliar diseases or a plant is weakened, it's not going to be able to set on as many fruits, but also it won't be able to fill those fruits to the capacity that it really can to make them taste good, to get all those vitamins and enzymes and good compounds into that tomato plant. Now, another one of the Plus series was Better Boy Plus. It was in the top 10 with a 2.14 rating, still excellent. A rating of 2.14 is very, very good, but what's interesting about that is that the Better Boy, without the disease package, we did not have any ripe tomatoes to include. The tomatoes just were not very good quality. So that tells you how important it is to have these disease packages. Now, as I mentioned, we had both heirlooms and hybrids, and some of the heirlooms are like Fred. It was number 2. Fred's an old variety. It had a 1.4 rating, excellent. And another one was Whitmore. It's a pink variety. It's also an heirloom. It was in the top 10. So we see some of the heirlooms getting right into the top 10, as well as some of the garden varieties, and also some of the new hybrids that are coming out. As I mentioned, that where they're trying to get that good heirloom taste into these more modern looking, convenient type package. And we see some of these varieties are like Chef's Choice, Ruby, and Cream of the Crop. Just to name a few, there's a Mountain series also out there. So there's many out there. And that's one of the things that our participants are amazed with, how many different varieties of tomatoes that there are. And believe me, there are thousands of them out there, and you're inundated this time of year from the seed catalogs. Also at your nurseries and other places, you see lots of seed. And I really encourage you to try some of these. Sure, try the ones that you know, but be conscious that there's other ones out there that you can try yourself, either purchasing plants or purchasing seed. Because tomatoes from seed are very easy, about 6 weeks from the time you plant your seeds until you can transplant. If we also look at our cherry tomatoes, we have a series of those because those are easy to take to the state fair to show people different ones and other show and tells that we have. And the winner of that one was Juan Flemay. Juan Flemay had a rating of 1.38, so it was not quite it was great, but not as good as the Big Beef Plus, with Prairie Fire being number 2 at 1.63. So, but a lot of the cherry tomatoes have names that have the word sugar or sweet in their name. For example, we have the Sugary and Sun Sugar and or Sweet Aperitif or Sweet Millions, and they always do well. When you look at the Brix rating or the sugar rating, they're always very high. And that's another thing that the breeders are trying to do, is to get that sweetness that we have in our cherry tomatoes into a larger slicer type tomato. Now, both with the slicer type and the cherry type, my favorites tend to be the ones that are dark purple. And some of those did very well, being in the top 10, whereas others didn't fare too good, because I think what happens if that dark purple is too much through the tomato, I think it might turn some people off when they first look at it. So we have to be careful with that. But I also like the Green Doctor's cherry tomato. I don't know if it's really called a hybrid or not, because it was developed in the last 20 years by a couple of doctors, amateur breeders, but it is a open pollinated one that you can grow yourself. And they're green, they taste really good, and it was in the top 10, number 7 at 2.05, so its rating was very good. Now, we also had tomatillos, but what we focused on was some ground cherries. Now, if you've ever had a ground cherry or a tomatillo, you know it has that shell, that papery shell around it, whereas a regular tomatillo, that breaks through and you know when it's ripe. Where a ground cherry, it never does break that papery shell, so you have to, when you pick it, you have to peel it back and eat the fruit inside of it. And even though ground cherries and tomatillos are related to tomato, they don't taste exactly like a tomato, especially the ground cherries. The winner this year was Cossack Pineapple, with a rating of 1.4, and the folks really like it. It has almost a pineapple-y taste. Some of them have more of a strawberry taste. So there's 4 or 5 that are very good at that, and people are often surprised about what they do taste like. The thing I would caution on ground cherries is that they are very much like a weed, in that they don't have that upright habitat like a tomato does, or even the larger tomatillos. They do want to spread out on the ground. And you know when the fruit is ripe when it falls off the plant. So as one geneticist told me, they're natural selection, ground cherries about 1,000 or 2,000 years behind tomatoes. And there are some folks actually trying to breed those to be more upright and yield more and a little bit more consistent. But they're very, very well worth to be in your garden. So remember, I encourage you to go out and be creative when you pick tomatoes to grow. And they're easy to grow from seed. You plant them, and you can plant them in trays and cups or whatever. Put them on top of your refrigerator, gets a little bottom warmth. Once they germinate, give them some sun, and within 6 weeks, you're able to transplant those out into your garden. We will have our rating sheets on our Facebook page that you'll see below at the Central Missouri REAK. So check that out, and good gardening to you, and we hope we see you on September 4th at Jefferson Farm and Garden for our annual Tomato Fest. We see you there.